gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10,
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Fight fans, this is the 13th round where we discuss all things boxing, not boxing. And we are here for a late night 13th round. We are glad you guys could join us. Tonight's topic is, why is Teofimo Lopez leaving the 140-pound division? So that's what we will be discussing. I will be opening up the phone lines a little bit later on. So we'll go ahead and get into it how we do it. Is Teofimo Lopez leaving the 140-pound division to move up to the welterweight division of 147 pounds? We all know that at the present moment and time, the 140-pound division is the most competitive in boxing. So why would Teofimo Lopez want to move to the 147-pound division? And is Teofimo Lopez ducking smoke at the 140-pound division? But first things first, we are going to have to get into some boxing news. And before we get into that, if you are in the live stream right now, be sure to hit that like button. All right, big boxing news coming. We got Caleb Plant is scheduled to headline PBC's first non-pay-per-view card in Orlando, Florida. This will be the first time that PBC has had a non-pay-per-view card on Amazon Prime in the United States. I believe they had one in some other country with some other fighters. Don't ask, I'm not sure who. But this will be the first Amazon Prime card that is free. Every PBC card has had a pay-per-view attached to it as of late. And all I got to say about that is it's about damn time. You know, I drew my line in the sand with that damn Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora fight. You know, now I know that fight should not have been a pay-per-view fight, which it was. But also that was not the original bout. The original bout was Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman. And hell, Tim Tszyu versus Keith Thurman was not a pay-per-view fight either. You know, and I of course I'm a boxing fan. I got the pay-per-view and it ended up being a pretty good card. But Tim Tszyu is not a known fighter in the United States. And Keith Thurman hadn't fought since the undercard of David versus Goliath. You know what I mean? So we ain't seen Keith Thurman since the Old Testament. And he was coming out, man. That fight should have been free of charge. But of course Keith Thurman got hurt, and Sebastian Fundora ended up upsetting Tim Tszyu in that bout. But anywho, Caleb Plant will be headlining that card against Trevor Magumby, who is an undefeated contender. Should be a decent match. It's boxing. It's 2024. You never know what happens. I'm a Caleb Plant fan. I like how slick of a boxer he is, how he moves in the ring. And Caleb Plant, boy, that white boy about some smoke. Shit, you better ask somebody. He slapped Charlo. I don't know if they was in Houston, but he was around a whole bunch of Houston people. and he went and slapped the mustache off of Jamal Charlo. Man. But yeah, other news we got Daniel Dubois versus Anthony Joshua. Of course, we know that is a done deal. And Daniel Dubois versus Anthony AJ Joshua will be September 21st. This fight will be for Dubois' IBF heavyweight title. So, you know, if you're reading in between the lines, I know some people are saying, when did Daniel Dubois become IBF champion, especially heavyweight? We just saw Alexander Usyk become undisputed against Tyson Fury. Well, Alexander Usyk had to relinquish his IBF title, and Daniel Dubois has been elevated to champion. Basically, he's the full-time IBF champion. So, yeah, Usyk was forced to vacate the title. So this fight will be for Dubois' IBF title. Also, Daniel Dubois has enrolled in VADA testing. They had some speculation and rumors going around that Daniel Dubois wasn't going to enroll in VADA and that he might be juicing. It's good to see Daniel Dubois enrolled into VADA. Now, Jose Ramirez versus Arnold Barboza. Dan Rafael has revealed that Golden Boy is looking to stage Jose Ramirez versus Arnold Barboza, and they are targeting a late September date in Las Vegas. The winner of that match will presumably be next in line for Teofimo Lopez, which happens to bring us to our topic of the day. Is Teofimo Lopez leaving the 140-pound division? But before we get into that, we are going to have a quick message from Mr. James Lights Out Tony.
Yo, what's up? This is James Lights Out Tony, the one and only. Please go subscribe to Ron's Bicycle Club. My people, great people. I guarantee go to the gym, check them out. Lights out, baby, all day, every day.
Is Teofimo Lopez leaving the 140-pound division? Now, we all know that the 140-pound division is arguably boxing's most competitive and deep division. And what makes this division the best is that there are about 12 to 16 fighters in this weight class who are all world-class fighters. And all of those fighters really could be world champions, and more than half of those 12 fighters have been world champions. And at some point, you know, we are going to have to see all of these fighters mix it up if they stay in the 140-pound division long enough. So let's talk about the current landscape of the 140-pound division. The current champions right now, the WBC champion at 140 pounds is Albert Puello. The WBA champion is Isaac Pitbull Cruz. The IBF champion is Liam Perro. And the WBO champion is Teofimo Lopez. Now, there are probably a lot of you saying, well, why isn't Devin Haney They did make him the WBC champion again once Ryan Garcia was found dirty or guilty of, using performance enhancers. But the WBC then went back and ruled that I think Devin Haney is the champion in recess, the WBC champion in recess, and Albert Puello is the full-time WBC champion. Devin Haney has to take a little time off after the beating that he suffered from Ryan Garcia. So those are the champions in the 140-pound division. Now, these are the former world champions or champions right now. Let's say former world champions in the 140-pound division. You got Teofimo Lopez, and these are just world champions. It could have been world champions in another division, and now they're fighting at 140 pounds. So you got Teofimo Lopez, you got Devin Haney, Sabril Matias, Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, Jose Ramirez, Isak Pitbull Cruz, Jack Catterall, Rolly Romero, Isak Cruz, Liam Payro, and Albert Puello. All of those names are or have been world champions at some point in their career, and they are all fighting in the 140-pound division. Man, it is stacked. So recently, Teofimo Lopez came out and made a statement, kind of broad, but almost calling out Brian Norman Jr., who fights at welterweight, the 147-pound division. And, I'm not a fan of fighters moving up and down. I believe once you move up, you kind of stay up and compete in that division. So if Teofimo Lopez is being handled in this way or is moving in this way throughout his career, then if he's moving up to 147, why is Teofimo Lopez making the move to welterweight? He's calling out Brian Norman Jr. now, but there has to be, an ulterior motive. He can't be moving there just to fight Brian Norman Jr. That's not a big fight at all, And I'm a fan of Brian Norman Jr., but Teofimo Lopez would be the A side in that fight. And I'm not sure if it would make sense for him to move up to 147 to fight Brian Norman Jr. when you have all these other big fights that you can. More in this division. I'll get back to this Brian Norman thing, but the beautiful part about the division is that it is not much separation between the boxers at the top of the division and in the mid-tier of the division. So I must pose the question, out of all the names mentioned, why is Teofimo Lopez the one who's moving up to 147? All right, I'm going to open up the phone lines. Phone lines are now open. Feel free to give us a call. The number here is, I'm waiting on it to scroll myself, 213-543-4464. Give us a call here at Rounds Boxing Club. We want to know why you think Teofimo Lopez is leaving the 140-pound division. Now that the phone lines are open, we are going to get back to what we were saying about Brian Norman Jr. It wouldn't make sense for Teofimo Lopez to be moving to 147 just to take a fight with Brian Norman Jr. to say you are a 4-division champion. If he was to be successful, that's a hard fight. I can't say he's going to beat Brian Norman Jr. But, they still got to get in the ring and fight. I'm not saying he can't. But let's just say he is successful. That's not a reason to move up. That's not a big fight. Teofimo would be the A side, and Teofimo Lopez, he's barely selling out arenas. I hate to say it like that, but he needs a dance partner. We saw where he fought and what that arena looked like in his last fight against Steve Claggett. But Teofimo Lopez was once the king of the jungle in the junior lightweight division of 135. And he became undisputed by defeating the man who beat the man, which was Vasily Lomachenko. And then Teofimo Lopez moved up to the 140-pound division and did the same thing and beat the man who beat the man who beat the man, which was Josh Taylor. So, it's like I said, it's not much separation in between the top of the 140-pound division. But if Teofimo Lopez is not moving up to 147, I like to think that Teofimo Lopez is arguably the cream of the crop of that division. Like I say, it's tight and it's arguable. I can see if you guys do not agree with me, but who are you going to say is the best fighter at 140-pound division, counting Teofimo Lopez still in? You can't say it's Devin Haney. I'd have to see him in the ring a few more times after the whooping he took against Ryan Garcia, regardless if they're Harrow. Josh Taylor, he just got beat by Catterall. Roley's not in contention. Isak Cruz just getting to the division. Yeah, Teofimo Lopez is the most proven. He's fought probably the better competition. Gary Antoine Russell just lost. So yeah, it's definitely and that's who I think he lost to Albert Puello, Gary Antoine Russell. So yeah, I think it. Let's talk about why it could be. Why could Teofimo? What are the reasons? So I'm thinking that if he's moving up, one reason could be the undisputed landscape in between both divisions. When you look at the 140-pound division, like I say, there's not much separation in between like 12 to 16 fighters. The competition is fierce. So regardless if Teofimo stays there or not, I doubt that we get an undisputed world champion in the 140-pound division for quite some time. I expect those belts to kind of be moving in the carousel because that division is loaded. So if he goes up to 147, the undisputed landscape there goes through Jaron Boots Ennis. And I'm not quite sure if Teofimo Lopez wants to fight Boots, or does he? We'll get back to that in a minute. Another reason that it could be, let's see, big fights. Let's talk about big fights. But if Teofimo's moving up to 147, he can't be moving there for the big fights because all the big fights are at 140 pounds. Imagine Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney, or Lopez versus Matias, or Teo versus Regis Prograis. All of those are huge fights. Teo versus Isak Pitbull Cruz. So it can't be for the big fights. Well, maybe it's for the accolades, and maybe he's daring to be great. We'll put those together, the accolades and daring to be great. Now this might be the one. I can remember Teofimo Lopez talking about moving to 147 a little time back when he was talking about, actually stepping up 2 weight classes and fighting Terrence Crawford. And I got those receipts. I'll try and pull them up right quick and see if I can let you guys listen to it right quick. But a while back, Teofimo Lopez called out Terrence Crawford and was talking about moving to the 147-pound division then. Let's listen in on what he had to say.
As a fighting?
Yeah.
Crawford.
All right.
Oh,
Me and Crawford.
Because you walked up to me yesterday and you said I completely.
Oh,
So you really are you pursuing that?
If it comes.
What do you like about that fight? Like when you said man,
Challenges. I love challenges, yo.
Yeah, that's a hell of a challenge.
I love it.
Yeah.
How else am I gonna learn?
Yeah.
How else am I gonna actually be great?
Yeah.
And besides, I'm the first male to become 2-time undisputed.
Yeah.
Chasing
yeah,
greatness.
So that's all it is.
Yeah. That's
All right, you heard. That's what I'm saying. So now we're getting somewhere. I think Teofimo Lopez might be daring to be great. Now, it won't be by stepping up to 147 and fighting Brian Norman Jr., but that can be a stepping stone to get there. Because if Teofimo Lopez was willing to fight Terrence Crawford and move up 2 divisions to do so, well, now that he's at 140, I'm pretty sure he won't mind moving up 1 division to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. So, and that brings us to the last reason that Teofimo Lopez could be moving up, which I kind of just covered, but a mega fight. You see, there are a lot of good fights in the 140-pound division, and maybe only 1 mega fight that should or could be made. 2 that I could see But I'm not sure that Ryan Garcia will be fighting at 140 pounds when he returns to the ring. The mega fights that I could see at 140 for Teofimo Lopez are Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. And I'm trying to see if any of those others would constitute as a mega fight. I think just the Teofimo Lopez and Devin Haney. I was gonna say Sabril Matias, but Sabril's not a big enough name in the States to make it a mega fight. But so one mega fight at 140. A lot of good fights, a lot of great fights, but only one mega fight could be made at 140 for Teo, and that's against Devin Haney. And Devin Haney's plate is full at the moment. You know, who knows when we'll see him in the ring again and against who? You know, Lopez. So if he goes to 147, let's just, hypothetically say he beats Brian Norman Jr. Teo beats Brian Norman Jr. Now he has a strap. One of the other, let's say Boots gets the other straps, and Boots, I'm pretty sure, wants to be undisputed. And now that fight has to be made, and Boots fights for undisputed against Teofimo Lopez. And I actually like that fight. I think Boots tears Teofimo Lopez up. I mean, but as far as a name-based fight, Boots versus Teofimo Lopez, I think it makes for a good fight. I don't see anybody beating Boots in that 147-pound division. But you'd also have a big fight with Teofimo Lopez and Mario Barrios. That could be very interesting. As of now, I like Barrios in that fight. But I wouldn't know until that fight materializes and happens and is signed, sealed, and delivered. But, I don't think that Teofimo Lopez is ducking smoke at 140. I believe that Teofimo Lopez is very much so proven. He was calling out Vasily Lomachenko when nobody in the world was saying his name. Lomachenko could barely even get fights, and Teofimo was calling him out for about a year or two before that fight actually happened. So, and not just that, when Teofimo moved up to 140, he didn't fight that many fights before he took on Josh Taylor. That might have been the first fight for Teofimo at 140. I don't think it was, but he took on Josh Taylor early. He beat the sleeves off of him. I just don't believe he's ducking anybody at 140, especially if he's going up to 147. I believe Teofimo Lopez, it's a mixture between Teofimo Lopez daring to be great and getting the mega fight and the mega payday. And I think that Teofimo Lopez is looking to set up a big payday fight with Jaron Ennis in the next year to year and a half. And that's my take on that, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, let's see. We don't have too much else going. We got the predictions rolling. I got the Amanda Serrano prediction up, and I got the Alexis Rocher prediction up for this week. Whenever we sign off, I will be uploading some more. Got a few more to upload before the weekend. We got Betting on Boxing coming to you this Friday at 11:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be sure to join in, chime in if you want to see the best bets for this weekend's fights. Yo, we do appreciate each and every last one of you for coming through with us here at Rounds Boxing Club. And you know how we do. We're going to shout out a few subscribers before we get up out of here. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to shout out Harris Tucker. Big shout out to Harris Tucker. Shout out to Marquee Collection. Shout out to Mickey McDaniel. Shout out to Keon Dragas. Big shout out to Simply Intricate Designs. Shout out to Terrell Dupart and Associates, one of the best law firms in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Ladies and gentlemen, this was the 13th round. I am your host, Armand Rounds. You know the drill. Be sure to like, subscribe, protect yourself at all times. We out. Peace.